They're malding so hard that Dark Brandon rolled them. The Senator Cornyn, the secret negotiations over the Manchin-Schumer deal unveiled only after Republicans voted on Chip's bill after threatening not to if there were a reconciliation deal. Today was the breaking point. This betrayal is an absolute declaration of political warfare. You know what's really funny about this deal, which we're going to talk about in a second? The funniest part about this is it's giving the game away. The one time Democrats do even like tepid legislation, okay? Like meaningful, certainly, but like literally marginal, okay? Republicans lose their minds and completely give the game away. That like Joe Manchin is unironically their guy. Like, what do you mean? You have no control over what kind of conversation Manchin and Schumer should be having. He's not a Republican. Why do you say this is warfare? Why were you planning on Manchin stopping a reconciliation deal? And that was the only reason why you were confident that you would vote for this, the unexpected climate and tax deal. Fuck you. So everybody, I say Dark Brandon rises, okay? Dark Brandon, rise up.
For all those of you who voted for President Trump, there's no way out.
I love that. Yeah, they're like upset that he's passing legislation. Like, fuck you, dude. Suck my cock. What the fuck is Dark Brandon? I'm slow. Dark Brandon is the future. Some might think Dark Brandon is the past, but he is the future. Dark Brandon is what is coming. Shinzo Abe, neutralized. Gas prices, neutralized. COVID-19, neutralized. Dark Brandon killed more Trump supporters than Donald Trump ever could have killed with COVID. Antifa, fully armed. Roe v. Wade 2, coming soon. Globo Homo, coming soon. Everyone has to be homosexual at gunpoint. Dark Brandon, a future you can believe in. You don't want to know what Brandon had to do. More Republicans malding? Yeah, I love this.
The timing of the Senator Manchin deal, I don't think.
Dude, I love that. Look at these turtle fucks, dude. Look at these turtle fucks. So upset that their nussies are vibrating, quaking, dude. Give me more of this. Give me more of this. Now, if you have pure spite-based politics, okay, you're going to look at this unexpected climate and tax deal. Like taxing a little bit more, right? Oh my Lord, dude. You're going to see some shit like that. Let's talk about the deal first and what it is and what it pertains and how it got, how it got done. Because Dark Brandon might have done some gay sex for it with Joe Manchin. I'm not saying that they did that, but like they both got COVID at the same time, which is very suspicious. Just think about that, okay? You think about it, okay? Joe Manchin and Joe Brandon got COVID at the same time. Just think about that. I want you to visualize it.
On a bill that could affect Americans for generations. Democratic Senator Joe Manchin has reversed his opposition to legislation meant to help reduce inflation, lower prescription drug costs, and fight climate change. But
think about the goals of this bill, dude. Think about the goals of this bill. Like, think about what Republicans are mad at.
Republicans oppose the measure, and its passage is not guaranteed. Nancy Cordes is at the White House, where this bill is welcome news for President Biden. Nancy, good morning. What's on the line here?
Well, Vlad, simply put, this would be the largest U.S. climate change legislation ever. President Biden last night declared it historic. It is the product of secret negotiations over a package that until yesterday appeared to be dead.
2 weeks after walking away from a climate deal, West Virginia Democrat Joe Manchin embraced one last night with a compromise dubbed the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022.
By the way, it's the funniest concept, the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022.
Centerpiece, about $370 billion worth of clean energy tax.
Like even when Manchin is like, all right, fuck it, like I'll concede to a good bill, he's like, it has to literally feature. Anyway, let's continue.
Incentives and grants, including $7,500 tax credits for many Americans who buy electric cars. The bill would also allow Medicare to negotiate the price of some prescription drugs and cap out-of-pocket.
So this bill is going to allow Medicare to negotiate price of prescription drugs. Remember, this is a point of contention, even for Democrats. What you are failing to recognize is not Joe Manchin that's the singular spoiler of bills like this. There are plenty of fucking pharmaceutical lobby-backed Democratic candidates that will also most likely try to tank this shit, okay? Not even just Kirsten Sinema. Look to senators from New Jersey. Look to Mr. Menendez, okay? One of the worst pieces of shit on the fucking planet.
Drug costs for seniors at $2,000 a year. Democrats say the cost of all this would be more than offset by
a new minimum tax on corporations.
This is a bill that truly is about fighting inflation, bringing down costs for families, and putting the country on a sounder economic footing.
And the motion to concur with an amendment is agreed to.
The surprise deal was announced just hours after the
Wait, so let's say Sinema and Manchin both were like, yeah, let's do this. There would be another Dem who'd get in the way. Hello? Guys, how many times have I fucking described to you the concept of rotating villain? Oh, God. Oh, by visibility incoming. Trigger warning, by visibility incoming directly to your face.
Senator Sinema. I like those colors. Thank you. Do you back this deal? Are you comfortable with the tax increases?
Excuse us, guys.
Have you spoken to the president about?
Dude, words cannot describe how much I despise this person, by the way. I just I hate her so much. I hate her so much, dude. Honestly, Dark Brandon, please. This is Brandon 2. He is a clone. Start fighting these motherfuckers. Please. Just start fighting them, like physically, okay?
You're not frustrated that you weren't a part of the negotiation.
Do you have a timeline for reviewing the tax?
Can you believe you get the tax by next week? Can I please get in the car? Thank you, guys. As we said, she doesn't have comments. Senator Sinema. I like those colors. Thank you. Do you back this deal?
I like those colors. Shut the fuck up! Dude, she is so bad. She is so fucking awful, dude. I hate her. Senator Menendez, let's see what he said. Rotating villain, for the record. For those of you who don't understand, the Democratic Party is controlled opposition. The reason why we say the Democratic Party is controlled opposition is because within the ranks of the Democratic Party, there are people who are always going to tank bills, even when the Democratic Party finds a way to actually push their legislative agenda forward, like with a narrow 50-50 majority in the Senate, with a tiebreaker vote coming in from the VP. So that is an incredibly narrow Senate majority, so one person or two people can fucking break it. But there was a time and place when the Democrats had a filibuster-proof majority, so they didn't even need the fucking budget reconciliation. And back then, they still had a villain that was Joe Lieberman or other Democrats that played the role of the villain that would tank the Democratic Party's legislative agenda from the supposed liberal left, okay? Senator Menendez says there are issues with Schumer and Manchin's reconciliation deal that should be addressed, namely lifting the salt cap. New Jersey is a state where salt provisions are huge. And Bob Menendez is going to do everything he can to fuck this up. There are plenty of other people in the Democratic Party that also probably have a say in this matter that don't like that, partially because they don't like the Medicare negotiations provision. So just get excited for that to happen. How does that work? Do they speak behind closed doors? Who has to obstruct this time, or is it structural? No, they will openly fucking do it. They will openly do it, okay? A SALT deduction is itemized deductions for taxpayers, okay? It's deductions that they've paid into certain state and local taxes. It's property, income, sales tax. It's what small business owners oftentimes use, okay? It's like it's a deduction specifically for the upper middle class to the wealthy. The wealthy always use it as well. State and local taxes. If you cap it, that means you're capping deductions that people make, okay? Would it be bad optics or whatever in an election year if someone votes against a bill called inflation relief? No, not necessarily, partially because inflation relief, or you have to have the Democratic Party in unison champion that this is a fucking bill that you have to get on board with and that you want to keep inflation high. And the Democratic Party can't even fucking whip votes internally for otherwise good bills, as you can see. Like, they got Manchin to look good, but now they got other people within the Democratic Party that are willing to play the role of a villain. So there it is.
Senate passed a major bipartisan bill to boost U.S. computer chip production. It all comes amid an otherwise gloomy week of economic news, with consumer confidence down for a third straight month in the face of record inflation.
Most families were paying less than $2 a gallon at the pump just 2 years ago.
These are not normal times.
Yesterday, the Fed hiked short-term interest rates another 0.75 points in a bid to bring prices back down as customers and business owners struggle.
Anyway, progressive leader once said Manchin wasn't a real Democrat. See her reaction to Manchin's deal.
2 weeks ago, the narrative was so different, right? It was that Manchin had pulled one over on Schumer and any sort of deal was dead. And you have been hypercritical of Joe Manchin. You actually called him not a real Democrat at one point. Does this change your assessment?
Damn, the worst thing you can say about Joe Manchin is not a real Democrat. Motherfuckers say that about me all the time. I see that. I as a compliment.
Well, look, on Capitol Hill, things change all the time. And I found that to be successful, what you have to do is you have to roll with whatever comes your way. If we can get this done, it will be a massive step forward for the American people. And, and I think that's what we have to focus on. The reality is this would be a massive accomplishment. and it would help.
$369 billion for energy security, climate change, reduce carbon emissions by 40% by 2030. Medicare to negotiate drug prices, cap out-of-pocket pharmaceutical costs at $2,000, which is still fucking so goddamn high. Extend the Obamacare subsidies and a 15% corporate minimum tax.
Help the American people.
If you get this done, does that make Joe Manchin a real Democrat in your eyes?
Well, look, I worked with Joe Manchin many times over the last year. I still think that had we done this back in December, had we done the entirety of the president's agenda, we would be in better shape. But am I happy that Joe Manchin is at the table right now? Absolutely. Welcome in, Joe Manchin. Delighted to work with you to
Welcome
get this
to the party.
done. Let's get something done for the American people. People have been hurting for way too.
Dude, CNN is such like ass suckers, by the way. Like, look at the angle. The line of questioning here and the angle of questioning is just like drama. It's like literally drama farming, like gray names in my chat. So do you think Joe Manchin is a real Democrat now? Okay, the real question is who's going to be the new villain?
A new CNN poll finds 75% of Democratic voters want the party to nominate someone other.
Dark Brandon came out, and you saw a peep of Dark Brandon during the Afghanistan withdrawal, okay? Dark Brandon came out and said, it's time. You know, we're fucking doing it. We're pulling out of Afghanistan, Jack. It's the Mac attack. And then the media ate his ass alive. They ate his ass in the fucking QRTs. Now he's back. Look forward to these numbers going up. You know what I'm saying? Preferred 2024 candidate amongst Democrats is 25% Joe Brandon, 75% someone else.
But why exactly are Democrats feeling dissatisfied? What do they want President Biden to do? We assembled a group of Biden voters from across the country to try to figure that out. Here is part one of our Pulse of the People.
Show of hands, how many of you are very happy with how his presidency is going? Okay, that's a 0. Show of hands, how many of you would say you're disappointed by his presidency? Okay, so 5 of you have raised your hand for disappointed. Okay, Dinanjay.
I'm disappointed with Joe Biden because I haven't really seen much change. Like there's mass shootings, the overturning of Roe versus Wade, COVID-19 surges. I mean, I expected to see the change that the Democratic Party promised in the 2020 general election. He promised to end the chaos and division and unite the country, and it seems like he almost abandoned that promise.
We are no longer in a world of how politics used to run in DC when Joe was sitting in the Senate. We're not even in the days of when Joe was a vice president in the Obama administration. And I think we need to be doing everything we can and being far more aggressive. And that's the kind of Joe Biden I'd like to see.
Helena, why are you disappointed in Joe Biden?
Especially coming from Trump's presidency, who was so loud and so almost obnoxious and in your face about how he felt about certain positions. We don't see that from Biden. He's not, I mean, right before the overturning of Roe v. Wade, he said he was the most hopeful for the United States he ever has been. As a voter, I was kind of like, how?
I'm feeling disappointed because we have seen very little of the agenda.
Who the fuck cares what these 6 people think? Dude, what do you mean? Twitch chatter, for the first time ever in his life, understands what a focus group looks like.
That Joe Biden ran on actually come to fruition. I was a big fan of the plan for Medicare for all who want it. I feel like that's something that could be instigated with a stroke of a pen.
I sure didn't expect for Joe Biden to come in and be a miracle worker. We had one of the loudest, most egregious presidents of modern time, and all anyone really wanted was progress. And we saw almost immediately with, I would consider, lackluster long-term initiatives with COVID, a botched Afghanistan withdrawal.
Jeremy?
Well, I guess I'm more realistic about it, and I recognize the limitations of working with a Congress and a Senate that's filibustered. And, this is an incredibly narrowly divided legislature, and I feel like he's doing as much as he can.
I mean, he could be opening abortion clinics.
I love that. Oh, come on. He's doing his best. He's trying his best, guys. Come
on federal land, and he's not doing that.
Yes, he can ensure that all military bases are able to provide abortions for anybody who is seeking one. That is something he could do.
It's been 18 months. He shot for the moon immediately and got nothing done.
I mean,
shot for the moon.
When you say he got nothing done, let me just put up the accomplishments that the White House would say. The $1.9 trillion COVID relief deal, the $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure package. Unemployment was 6.2% when he took office. It's now at 3.6%.
Fucking sick, dude. Except, again, inflation is incredibly fucking high, okay? And the COVID relief plan was a necessity for survival. And a lot of the fucking additional money that, like, states got, Brandon has been crying and saying should be given to the police forces. He's been around for, what, 2 fucking years, and you got 4 bullet points. The $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure package still ultimately is falling short of what was necessary. Maybe his main fucking problem was everybody hyped him up as the FDR, the next FDR. I'm not even going to entertain the talking point of rejoin the Paris Climate Accord because, oh my fucking Lord, the idea that is unironically a talking point is so stupid that they straight up are basically saying, I mean, they're basically saying, like, you're pathetic. You're so stupid that you will use that as like a real thing. Like, you would look at that and go, oh yeah, that is pretty sick. Shut the fuck up. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court, it completely gutted the EPA's power. That's the most important one on the whole list. The rest aren't climate related. Oh my God. Why are fucking EV Andes that are like, why are sock them EV Andes such ridiculous suckers for this sort of shit? They completely fail to comprehend that the Paris Climate Accord is just a personal promise. That promise doesn't mean anything if you don't actually follow through. That promise doesn't mean anything when it's a non-binding promise. That promise doesn't mean anything when you can't actually push for $369 billion in infrastructure costs, specifically around like a New Deal, Green New Deal style development or R&D, development for renewable energy initiatives. Come on.
He rejoined the Paris Climate Agreement. More judges confirmed to the lower federal courts. He confirmed.
Bro, this is so sad. Most lower judges confirmed since JFK. That is such a sad, pathetic existence. When Donald Trump put 3 Supreme Court justices, dude, it's done. Some of the judges, by the way, that they confirmed are literally fucking conservative. Confirmed the first African-American woman to the Supreme Court. Sick, dude. Love that. That's great. Signed bipartisan gun safety bill.
The first African-American woman.
Once again, falling incredibly short of what is necessary. A gun safety bill that was promoted on what it does not feature in it. Like necessary steps that was not featured in it. That's how John Cornyn pushed for that.
All those things are great wins. But the gas is as high as it's ever been. Inflation is at a 40-year high. And COVID is still going.
I think, like the other people have said on the panel, it's more of just using his voice more, being more aggressive and being more assertive.
He's trying to pander to the far left progressives. He's trying to pander to the whole Republican Party. And he's trying to appease a mass of voters. At the end of the day, most people aren't the far right and most people aren't the far left.
I think the problem that Joe Biden is having is not that he's trying to pander too far to the progressives or too far to more liberals.
Well, how was he pandered to the fucking progressives, dude? Like, I don't even understand. Like, at what point was Brandon pandering to the fucking progressives? Let's say pandering is even meaningful in any kind of fucking way. But, like, what was the pandering? God, I hate fucking people like this, dude.
It's that he's playing it too safe in the middle.
I just want to stop you for a second, Vanessa, because isn't that the opposite? Bill Clinton, I think, once said, Democrats like to fall in love and Republicans fall in line. Republicans might have had issues with Donald Trump, but they were going to stick with their president and they were going to vote for their president. How many?
Yeah, that's a great way to fucking describe something if you have no material basis for your understanding of the world. No, it's more so about, again, the Republican Party can be openly cruel, specifically because their ultimate goals are on the side of capital, deregulation, tax cuts for the wealthy, and crippling the social safety nets, okay, which then is opening up more funds for subsidies for corporations. But again, deregulation and tax cuts for the wealthy nonetheless. Democrats, on the other hand, won't won't fucking fall in line because there is a mismatch. Democrats campaign like they are going to do regulation. They campaign like they're going to increase taxes for the wealthy. They campaign like anti-capitalists, but then they can't do anti-capitalist things because, oh man, there's a rotating villain in the party. There is no falling in line within the Democratic Party because the Democratic Party's goals, just like the Republican Party's goals, whether they openly admit it or not, are still maintaining the capitalist order. That's it.
How many of you think that Democrats, yourselves included, might be too fickle and finding too much fault? Just to be clear, none of you think that Democrats are too fickle and are just finding fault.
So like Matt, I too am a former Republican. So I think I have some.
Immediately, bro. The fact that they found not one but two former Republicans for a 6-person panel shows me that, like, holy fuck, even Frank Lutz is better than this person, than Angie Jones at like putting together a fucking focus group. How many former Republican Brandon voters are out there, dude? Are you insane? They do not represent a genuine constituency. Get the fuck out of here.
Perspective on this, the falling in love versus falling in line. Yes, there is some eating of our own, so to speak. If you're not sufficiently progressive enough, or you're not sufficiently moderate enough, or whatever, I never saw that on the Republican side. Never. We never talked about politics on the Republican side. There was no need to research candidates. You simply showed up on election day and you voted for all the R's.
I think that what Biden could do more than anything is use his bully pulpit and say, this is insane what we're seeing from conservatism and from Republicans. It's outrageous.
Isn't he saying that? Isn't he sounding the alarm?
He isn't doing it forcefully enough.
Okay, so show of hands, how many of you wish that President Biden would be angrier and just show more anger?
I wouldn't say anger, but definitely fine.
I was going to say, I don't know that anger.
Wow. Wow, look at that. It almost feels like people want someone to fight for them, to put up a fucking fight, even if you lose. Obviously, people want their elected representatives to win. That would be great if that was the case. But that's so strange. It's almost like they want to unleash Dark Brandon. Dark Brandon rising. Hashtag Dark Brandon rise up. Hashtag Dark Brandon returns. Okay? They want it. They want it. So weird.
Joe Biden needs to step up his game and be a little bit stronger and lead his party. The buck stops with him.
For the record, the reason why they feel this way is because he can't even whip votes within his own party. I talked about this literally, like the moment Brandon became president, I talked about this and said, you're going to hear a lot more from Joe Manchin in upcoming months, if not the rest of this fucking presidency. And I was right. That wasn't like a lock or anything. It was just like a very obvious prediction if you know anything about Joe Manchin or the way that the Democratic Party operates. The thing is, the voter base is annoyed with the Democratic Party because they foolishly double-dick themselves. They can't even focus on the obstructionist Republican Party to shift the blame of inaction over to the Republican Party because they are in unison, not voting for anything and halting progress because they're too focused on their own ranks because they can't even get their own ranks in order. It is like literally the worst thing you can do. Not only are Republicans fucking over progress, but no one is even focusing on them. People don't even shift the blame over to them. Why? Because the Democrats have the capacity to push for bills in the form of a budget reconciliation, as I described earlier. But they have their own version of rotating villains within the Republican Party. And that's precisely why no one's even talking about the Republicans. But the one instance where Joe Manchin comes out and says, oh, look alive, Jack, we're actually going to sign the IRA. You got Cornyn upset that there were secret negotiations over the Manchin-Schumer deal only after Republicans voted on the CHIPS bill, after threatening not to if there were a reconciliation deal. This betrayal is an absolute declaration of political warfare, is what Senator John Cornyn says. What the fuck do you mean declaration of absolute fucking political warfare? Why is your expectation as a fucking Republican that another Democrat is going to stop progress from happening when Democrats can vote on a fucking bill? That's insane. That is an insane admission. And a little bit of pushback on increasing taxes, or rather capping SALT deductions. And all of a sudden, you got these nussies fired up, dude. Look at this neck pussy when you listen to what this fucking demon has to say.
The timing of the Senator Manchin deal, I don't think was any accident.
What do you mean?
Somehow one of the worst Kennedys, even though not even directly related to the Kennedy.
But the timing of the Senator Manchin deal, I don't think was any accident.
What do you mean?
Well, the Democrats had some of my colleagues in the Senate agreed to support the 400 or 390 or 290, whatever it was. I can't count that high.
280.
Subsidy to big tech. Okay? And so they couldn't have passed that bill without Republican votes. So the Democrats, well, basically, they sucked my Republican votes up like a Hoover Deluxe and then got their votes and then, bam, announced this new tax increase.
Double cross.
I don't think there aren't very many coincidences here on Capitol Hill. I think that.
Look how quickly they turned on chips, which was a way to subsidize microchip production in the United States of America. It's a bill that is supposed to actually bring industry back and manufacturing back to the United States. This is, if you ask the Republicans and the Democrats, behind closed doors, something that they unironically consider to be a matter of national security, okay? Because if you don't have microchips, if you're not creating your own, manufacturing your own microchips, and you're over-relying on Taiwan and China, 75% of which is coming from literally China, then you're fucked. Like, you're fucked. If the supply chain falls apart, then you don't have cars, you don't have computers, you don't have anything. So they saw this as a genuine problem, which is why they instituted the chips bill. Obviously, the Pelosi's made out like a bandit too from that. You know, lots of Nvidia shares were bought and sold. So good on them. It's not even, farm equipment, everything. Everything doesn't work without chips. So now they're subsidizing business. Where is it? Fango actually had a good take. Here, literally complaining about subsidizing big business, helping domestic manufacturing jobs, and getting away from China. Fucking Republicans are so spineless. Yeah, it's a triple whammy. It is something that they actually genuinely have bipartisan consensus on. Moving away from an over-reliance on China and Chinese-controlled commodities. It's a matter of national importance and national security. And David Dayen is really good on this. He says, basically, the Republicans are voting against popular bills, including things they support, because they're whiny about Joe Manchin challenge. I mean, he fucked up the meme side of it. That's not a challenge, but yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. And they're mad because Joe Manchin fucked it up for them. They always had the confidence that Joe Manchin would stop progress from happening on the Democratic side because Democrats can't caucus.
The timing was exquisite. We look like a bunch of, well, I'm not going to say what we look like.
Still on brand, yeah, pretty on brand for Dayen. Yeah, he's a bit of a boomer, but we love him. We love him because he's a boomer. So here, I'll cover this. Susan Collins now, by the way, everyone's favorite rhino, Susan Collins, is coming out and saying that she will vote against this same-sex marriage bill because of what the Dems did on the inflation reduction bill. How funny is that? There is no better representation, and I say this all the time, but there's no better representation that these motherfuckers don't believe in anything, and the expectation that they're going to operate on, like, genuine morals or any sort of, like, cohesive values is a silly one. They're like, yeah, the gays will get it now. How funny is that? Leader McConnell had something to say. Let's take a look. Wait, what is this? Oh, this is from July 14th. Leader McConnell says, one clear reason we're suffering for the 40-year high inflation, the $1 trillion reckless spending this all Democratic government passed on a party line basis last year. Now, after U.S. Spending us into inflation, they want to tax us into a recession. That's awesome. The only reason people vote for Mitch McConnell is because he's hot. Yes, and I'm sick and tired of acting like that's not the case. Tim Ryan.
This is the first step towards an industrial policy in the United States of America. And it is time for us to quit the politics, stop trying to score political points, stop putting party over country, lay down our arms. My God, if we can't agree on this, what in the hell are we going to agree on? Rebuilding the manufacturing base, good-paying jobs, union construction, outcompeting China, national security. Come on.
Yeah, bro, there's like straight up. I mean, Tim Ryan is whatever. He should be doing more yoga, I guess, if he's getting this mad. But there is no more of a layup bill than this one. It doesn't make sense. Like, it is, once again, just another unironic representation of the reality that, like, Republicans just don't care about anything, and neither do some Democrats, where it's just like, if you're a Republican and you're against this bill, I don't know what to tell you. It is such a fucking layup. It is such a fucking layup in every meaningful capacity for, like, any senator to say, yeah, I'm on board with this. It makes no sense.
Let's do this. Let's do it together.
No, it has room for big business to fuck with taxpayers. No, but I'm talking about fucking, Like from a Republican perspective, dude. Do you not understand? I'm not talking about it from my own point of view. I mean, I just want, you know, microchips to be, more microchips to exist so I can just like, you know, finally get a goddamn 3090, you know what I mean?
But we have a small group of people who have hijacked the Republican Party, and the leadership in this House on the Republican side is more concerned with defeating Democrats
4090,
than doing
whatever.
something that's best for the United States of America. We just saw it in the Senate with the burn pits legislation. We're seeing it here with the CHIPS legislation. Party over country. So July 28th, 2022 is going to be Black Thursday, the day the Republican Party
Gentleman's
has
time
been
is expired.
hijacked and aligned themselves with communist China.
Gentleman's no
I yield.
longer.
What the fuck? The Republican Party has aligned itself with communist China. Let's go, brother. Let's go, Brandon. Dark Brandon returns. Did you hear to talk about the moderate party with Andrew Yang? No, because that shit sucks.